Oh my God. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hang on one sec. I gotta make sure this works. I gotta learn to move things over. And let's test with the roll credits.
We're on the it's feeling pretty dangerous.
And we're back. Oh my God. I also probably blew out everybody's eardrums and scared you all away. But don't worry, folks. I'm going to get this going really quick. We're going to do a preview. We're going to do previews of all 16 games. So I'm going to move quick. We got a game tonight. I'm going to end on that game. We're going to end on the Eagles and the Cowboys and all the drama that surrounds it. But let's start right off the bat, because I got places to go, people to be, and things to hurt, preferably myself. And we'll go straight off the bat. We'll go right here to Game 2, Chiefs-Chargers. Oh, my God. How do we feel about Mr. Mahomes just coming out of the Super Bowl? Didn't win this one this time, unfortunately, for the Chiefs. Chargers are looking into this game. They just lost their left tackle. They're moving their right tackle, Joe Alt, to left tackle. They'll have Trey Pipkins at right tackle. They'll also have Mekhi Becton at right guard, starting for them after moving on from the Philadelphia Eagles. So how does this matchup fare? The Chiefs are -3 in Brazil. This is Brazil. I like it. I like Brazil a lot. I like the idea of us playing there. Unfortunately, I don't know how much I actually think the players like going there for this. It's a long trip. I think that's why they start off the season with it. Right off the bat, they're not going to have Rashee Rice for the Chiefs. They're going to have a rookie left tackle with Simmons. I know they were having a fight for right tackle for most of the summer. I'm very curious, and left tackle, I believe, and Simmons won that outright, which is good. This is good to hear. Offensively, offensive firepower. Will we see Hollywood Brown actually take a snap finally for the Chiefs? Now that he's actually kind of semi-healthy. I don't know. He hasn't really been healthy at his whole time with the Chiefs the last year or so, and even before that, kind of questionable then. Let's throw on top of that, you have the brilliant Xavier Worthy, right? The speed demon, the fastest guy at the combine. Will he be able to make a difference in this game and in this season? Is he going to take that step forward everybody's been saying? That we saw some moments of people being excited at the end of the year, especially like in the Super Bowl, although granted in Garbaggio time. And what does this mean for the Chargers? The Chargers, whose defense feels, how do I describe it? Outside of Khalil Mack, like it feels very that there's not a lot of taste there, right? Like Khalil Mack, Derwin James, and the rest of the characters. Like there was a time where that defense was like constantly star power that kept on getting injured. Joey Bosa, Casey Hayward. Now it's a lot of younger dudes that they're getting performances out of, which I like. I like it a lot. I like that they are getting some good performances. How do these two teams match up? I mean, the Chiefs are pretty good at game planning. They're good at scamming, good at doing what they need to do. I think they kind of reloaded on what they needed a lot of. Good question is going to be, how does Chris Jones play out in this game? Do I think -3 is what the Chiefs deserve coming off a Super Bowl loss? I think they came into this knowing, hey, we're going to not have Rashee Rice for 6 games, so they game planned around that. I actually think it's really going to come down to, can the Chargers grind it out without Rashawn Slater? And can the Chiefs have a bunch of different answers on their offense and keep the ball moving? And do they have any defensive answers outside of the Trent McDuffie on the back end? I'm leaning towards, I think the Chiefs win this one. I think this is just what Andy Reid does. He does well when you give him time to. He's like Batman. Andy Reid is Fat Batman in Kansas City, Missouri. He's the Batman of Missouri, and that's why they've gotten Super Bowls from him. Because if you give him enough you give him enough prep time. You give Andy Reid the prep time, he'll figure it out. I like they are the only ones that seem to be able to continue that run out of shotgun, RPO heavy, shotgun running, downfield throw, quick throw approach that they've been able to do, whether they did it with Tyreek Hill. They had a harder time doing it last year. A lot of good screens out of that team as well. I mean, that's probably one of the best screen game teams in the NFL, which is why blitzing becomes very hard with them. You got to make sure you time things up correctly when you're playing against Andy Reid and the Chiefs. And Mahomes, I've mentioned Andy Reid 1,000 times. Mahomes, right, the star of the NFL at one point. Will they get a good play? Will they get a good play out of Travis Kelce? I'm thinking yes. I think I don't really believe in, like, as much as I think the Chiefs' firepower is questionable. I think the firepower on the Chargers is even more questionable. I mean, outside of Lad McConkey and an antique Keenan Allen that they got at a thrift sale, what else do the Chargers have on offense? You know, an Amarian Hampton. Really cool to have an Amarian Hampton. Not entirely sure what level Amarian Hampton's at as far as running back level. I was a big fan of him coming out, but that doesn't mean he's going to be hitting the NFL quite the way we were expecting. I think the Chiefs -3. I think it's a little. I do feel like it's a little rich. I maybe would have taken a point away here. I'm still gonna go Chiefs -3 here. I think it's tight. I think it's tight. I think they're gonna play tight. They're gonna play tighter than my booty hole. Let's move on. Let's move to the next game. Because all right. And straight up, I think I would take the Chiefs here against the Chargers. I think where I land on the -3 feels like a lot for them though. In a site that's going to be neutral zone, very messy, but I always like giving Andy Reid some deference when he's got time to game plan. All right, let's move on. Not Chargers, Bengals, Browns. Right, my homies is not here, and we're going to Joe Burrow. Probably one of the. I think a combination of accurate and cerebral as quarterback goes. He's got his boys there. They just signed Dalton Risner at guard. I think that was a brilliant move. They probably should have done it sooner. Chase Brown, I think they're going to be utilizing out of the backfield a lot more. Loving myself some Chase Brown. Love what that team can do as far as their offensive firepower with T. Higgins, Gesicki, Fant. Oh, and let's not forget the one and only Jamar Chase, who is a stud. Now, do they deserve to be favored in Cleveland -5.5? Ooh, I don't know if I like the points here for Cleveland. I do. It's weird. It's weird to say that because Cleveland going to be down Martin Emerson. They still got Ward. They still got Myles Garrett. They still got the rookie that they drafted this year at D tackle. They did have to move on from Dalvin Tomlinson. I think Ogbo Okoronkwo they got rid of as well, which is even more concerning. So edge rushers kind of, it's I think they're going to have to blitz a bit more with this Browns team this year, but I'm not sure they're going to have to do it week one, mainly because I don't believe in this Bengals offensive line. I think it's imaginary. Not imaginary. It's close to imaginary. It's superfluous. It is there, but maybe we'll see. But I do like the Bengals receiving weapons, and if they can get the ball out real quick, and I think they will, it's going to be tough to slow down the Bengals. But they've often had a hard time against Cleveland, especially in Cleveland, especially with Stefanski. Stefanski's had the Bengals number for quite a while, especially when he has a solid quarterback playing. And, I mean, at least at this moment, it looks like Joe Flacco, it will be an okay, solid quarterback. He likes his system. I think he works well with what Stefanski does. It's very similar to the Kubiak system that he ran when he was with the Ravens and got to a Super Bowl, and won a Super Bowl. So I digress. I think -5.5 is a lot here. And as much as it's going to pay me to say it, Joey, I got to give the Browns the -5, which is strange to say that the Browns. I think the Browns deserve the +5. I mean, I think the Bengals losing out in 5.5 points is a lot. If this was straight up, I would go Bengals, but the 5.5 points, I feel like the Browns getting 5.5 points here in a spot where I think they do pretty well. So yeah, I move on to the next spot on this. Let's go Giants and Commanders. This is my favorite matchup of the week. I have a lot of I think this is probably my favorite matchup because the NFC East is because of where I live. I live in New Jersey. I also used to be on Face Off with Facemeyer. Very much a lot of Commanders fans on that show. And eventually I would like to figure out a way to do this with Brenda Facemeyer to get her onto this thing, because this is very reminiscent of what I used to do with her on her show of doing the pick'ems. This is a little bit more, hey, we're guessing what we're going with the spreads as well, which I think is fun. I'm not necessarily telling you who to pick, what to do, but oh my God, the Giants are getting 6 points in Washington. I think the Giants get upset here. I think it's quite I think this is probably the most likely game to get a lot of smart money on the opposites, on the upsets here. I think these are the two most likely to upset, right? If you're going to pick two upsets, I think Browns versus Bengals in Cleveland, Giants versus the Commanders in Washington. I believe this is the right. I can't pull up DraftKings anymore. I can, but I don't want to double check and then all of a sudden find out I'm just a moron. But I will pull it up anyway. DraftKings, where are you? Scooby-Doo! Scooby-Doo, where are you? NFL Week 1. I just want to make sure because something tells me, did I get this right? I'm like we'll find out. All right, well, I'm going to assume it is +6 for the Giants here. I think this is a lot of points to give the Giants. With that D-line, that's a spicy D-line. It's a spicy, spicy D-line. And part of the reason why that D-line is kind of fun. Oh, where the heck? I hate this. I should have had this up earlier. What's college basketball weekly odds? Here we go, week 1. Yeah, +6. I had to double check. I know it's on the screen. I know I just put it in there. But for some reason, I didn't believe myself on what I put in from DraftKings. I thought I screwed up. I did not screw up. Walter did not screw up today. I did waste a little bit of time here, though. So +6 for the Giants. I love that D-line, man. I've said it before. I think it's an impressive D-line. I like what they have as far as pass rush goes, interior pass rush. I think the edge rush is going to be quite potent and powerful. I like a Debo as the addition. We're seeing the Commanders. You got a rookie right tackle. You got you're not going to have Cosme playing right guard, so you're missing a couple of pieces. You did trade for Laramie Tunsil. You got to hope Laramie Tunsil doesn't end up giving you a bunch of penalties this year like he did last year to the Texans. Even though he's good when he's on, when he's off, he's kind of off. So, and then how do you go ahead and stop Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns? I think this is going to be a learning experience. And then can they? I think it's going to be the big fight here is Giants defense versus Washington offense, right? Washington's offense, you got Jaden Daniels, man who was able to extend plays, get a bunch of fourth down conversions, get the deep ball to Terry McLaurin. They added Debo Samuel, obviously, to get a little bit of run after the catch mode with them. Older Debo, late stage Debo, but still Debo nonetheless. And so I think this is better for the Commanders that they have Terry McLaurin. Now, the big question here is, will they be able to utilize Terry McLaurin to his full Terry McLaurin-ness as a downfield threat? Is he going to be fully, ready to go after holding out for most of camp? I think they've had about a week and a half, 2 weeks for him to ramp up. It's not like he's a guy who doesn't, he's probably not been training, although he was on the PUP, so I don't know how much he's not allowed to train while he's on the PUP. That's a good question. I don't have an answer to it. So, but you look at the other guys in that backfield. Drew Phillips played very good out of the slot for the Giants defense. I think that's going to be a very key cog here is how well does the Giants defense hold up against the Commanders offense. We got Ja'Cory Krosky-Merrick, Chris Rodriguez, Austin Eckler, and all these guys are going to be utilized in a lot of different ways. I know it sounds like they're going to try to utilize Rodriguez maybe as a pass catcher and as a in between the tackles runner. Will that matter here? I think they're going to have to. I think the Commanders are going to have to get a little, a little spiffy with their offense. But +6 feels like a lot. And when you value the range of outcomes of +6. Remember, last year the Giants were very competitive against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, both at the beginning and at the end of the year. They've got a lot of gas on that defense, and offensively they've got to be better, right? I mean, whether or not Andrew Thomas plays left tackle, and I think that's going to be a big deal in this game. Andrew Thomas playing is going to be a big deal for the Giants' offense. They still have neighbors. Tyron Tracy has some explosiveness to him. And they have Russell Wilson playing quarterback. I think it's going to be a lot of deep balls, a lot of figuring out, trying to keep them playing two safety high if they can get away with it. If they could buy some time for Russell Wilson, it's going to be a deep ball or a check down, and I think that's kind of what they've been planning out right now. I'm going with I would take the points, though, with the Giants. I think this is most likely to be an upset. So this is the most likely game so far. And not that we've had a lot of games so far, but of the games that could be an upset, I think this is the one that I feel most upset about. We will move on. Cardinals versus the Saints. Kyler Murray. How Kyler of you. I think this is going to be not a fun game to watch. Spencer Rattler, right? The we have Jameis Winston at home. We got him for a 5th-round pick. Why pay Jameis Winston? We've got Spencer Rattler. That's what I think Rattler is. You got to work on his decision making. Can he go ahead and get the deep ball going? Can he keep Olave working? As I choke. I think he can. But here's the problem. I think Cardinals defense might not be at full power right now. Obviously, Walter Nolan's going to be on the pup. He's not going to start the first month of the season. But they do have Calais Campbell. They have Dalvin Tomlinson. They have a lot of good pieces there. Josh Sweat they spent money on bringing in this offseason. I have a lot of questions towards the back end of that defense. But overall, again, I'm not believing in what the Saints can do as of this moment. I think eventually the Saints figure out, and they'll eke out a few wins themselves. But I also am not entirely sure I believe in what's on the back end of the Saints defense. So I digress. I think but I'm not sure I want to go ahead and put any money. This is like one of those games I would avoid putting money on. But 6.5 Cardinals. I'm going Cardinals on this. All right, we'll move on. We'll go to the we'll go to Steelers at Jets, right? Wow, we're moving through. Game 5 already. I told you, I want to get through this stuff. Get through it. -3 Steelers. I believe it. But you got to remember, Jets are home, right? This is I think this is going to be an interesting game, right? Aaron Rodgers, very heady, but does he have all the chemistry ready to go with this offense? With an offense he wasn't really even part of the initial install with. Remember, he probably had like all the plays because he was allowed to talk to the coaches. He was hanging out with DK Metcalf occasionally, but for the amount of time he spent having his cup of coffee, he didn't really feel like he was how do you say the word? Fully invested quite just yet. So Rodgers, this offensive line is going to be pretty solid. What we know about the Jets is that Justin Fields, not the most accurate thrower of the ball, very athletic. They do have a couple of very athletic running backs, including Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, 2 different types of athletes at running back, as well as Isaiah Davis is a third guy in that backfield. Offensive line, well, the Jets did just lose out on Elijah Vera Tucker, tore his other tricep, because damn it, man. That sucks. I was excited for this offensive line, and to lose Elijah Vera Tucker, one of their best offensive linemen, right away. I do think the Jets have some answers, though, for right guard. Either they can move Tittman to right guard, although I don't know if they do that this week. They have Xavier Newman. I think he'll probably play right guard this week, and they'll wait till the last second to maybe next week to start moving around the other offensive linemen to figure out the rest of their pieces there. I think you felt better about Membu playing right tackle next to Elijah Vera Tucker to start the season. Man, losing him to a tricep just sucks. One of my favorite players for the Jets, and one of the best parts of that Jets offensive line. And man, that team felt so ready to pop and explode and do some things that shock people. I was ready for that team to shock people. That's what I'm saying. I think that team was ready to shock folks. And now we're just not going to get that. So, unfortunately, at least maybe not week 1. But -3? They're getting -3 at home? I kind of want to take the Jets here because I look at this Jets defense. I think it's pretty good. I think they added Harrison Phillips. I thought that was an amazing trade right before the start of the season with the Vikings. You now get a run-stopping defensive tackle. I hear that the Dallas Cowboys were trading Micah Parsons for a D tackle at one point. So getting Phillips to go along with Quinnen Williams and Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, I think that D-line's still going to be potent. You still have Gardner. I have a couple more questions with Cisco and some of the other dudes there on the back end, but I kind of like what this defense can do, especially up front. I think they're going to make they're going to try and get Aaron Rodgers to try to throw the ball. I think they're going to blitz Rodgers quite a bit. I think they're going to make Rodgers' day a little bit of a pain in the ass. Now, if this was later in the season, I'd feel more comfortable taking the Jets with -3. But hold me to it. I don't know. Let's move on. Bucks at Atlanta. All right, let's move on. Bucks are favored -1.5. In Atlanta, though. In Atlanta, kind of concerning all over the place here. Atlanta's defense did have Baker Mayfield's number last year a little bit. I think he had his biggest kind of issues against Atlanta. Jesse Bates, man, just knows how to bait Baker. I don't know how that really works. But he's known him since he was with one was with the Bengals, the other was with the Browns. So back-to-back being in the same division, man, they love each other. I love it. Atlanta spent a lot of time trying to up their defense here, try to get some edge rush in the draft, trade a first-round pick to move back into the first round to get another edge rusher. I think it's an interesting maneuver, I guess. I would look at it and go, all right, let's see how this plays out. They did lose Grady Jarrett, who I think was also a big part of that defense last year in the last few years. So, A.J. Terrell might not play. A.J. Terrell's playing. So, again, A.J. Terrell and Bates are the best part of the back end of this defense. Front end of this defense, a little bit more concerned. Will they be able to get pressure? Again, you look at, this is going to be the first game for a lot of these young edge rushers. Going up against, though, I don't even know what that even says right over there. I can't. Pay attention. Right. Let's go back to Baker Mayfield. Not going to have Godwin. Not going to have McMillan. Going to have a rookie, Egbuka, which I like Egbuka. I didn't get very much stock of him at all. I only have him in Dynasty. I did not get him in redraft in any of my redraft leagues this year. I'm so sad. I wanted more Egbuka. He's an Egbuki, man. They'll still have Mr. Mike Evans. They won't have Tristan Wirfs for week 1. That's a sad part of this game. Can they go ahead and stave off the pass rush and be able to maneuver? I don't know. They still have Bucky Irving. This is going to be the first time play calling for a real game for Mr. Grizzard. Minus 1.5 is an interesting one. I also am very curious, now that everybody's got tape on Michael Penix, how does the team scheme around him? How does the Falcons maneuver around Penix being, their starter? They're not going to have their right tackle, which is kind of like, it's weird that, I understand why Wirfs gets talked about more than Caleb McGarry being missing, but it is going to be kind of, I think that's kind of a concern. If I'm the Falcons, I am very concerned that not only are you starting a new center over last year, but you're also you're going to have your third string right tackle, fourth string right tackle. So a little concerning there for the Falcons. Minus 1.5 at home. Minus one. So Falcons are getting points at home. I still think I believe in the Bucs more. I think because the Bucs are healthy on defense for the first time in forever, and I think they're ready to scheme around, causing some headaches for Michael Penix. I'm gonna go Bucs on this one. So interesting. We'll go to the next one, which is Dolphins at Colts. Oh my God, Tua Tagovailoa. What's with all the slander in your name, dear God? It's Tua versus DJ, and here's the thing, Tua. I like Tua, man, and I think Jalen Waddle's a really good receiver, and I like Tyreek, not as a person, but as a dude who can catch a ball. Offensive line wise, they lose Teron Armstead, but it felt like they've been planning for this for a little bit. They have been trying to get more of an in between the tackles run. We'll see what happens with Ollie Gordon. Devon Achane had some injury concerns coming into this week with some tweaks. I think the Miami Dolphins getting 1.5 is interesting. In Indianapolis does have some turnover on the offensive line. They're losing Will Fries. They're losing Ryan Kelly. They're going to be playing Daniel Jones. And it's really going to come down to that Dolphins D-line. Can they get penetration as quick as possible, create some headaches for Daniel Jones, and then what does that lead to? And usually a mess if you're Daniel Jones. So I'm going to go Dolphins here with the 1.5 points. It's a tight enough game. I think McDaniels will figure it. I think Mike McDaniel will figure it out. I think Tua is actually a better quarterback than people give him credit for. I know Daniel Jones isn't a great quarterback. I know he's a solid back end of the roster. Like, sure, arguably top 30, but not past top 20 or 15. So, like, his ceiling is top 15. His ceiling is getting to 15th or maybe 16th. So, I digress. We're going to go with Tua and the Dolphins over, Captain Mid, Daniel Jones. Let's move on to the next thing. We're on Game 9 already. Wow. Well, I'm trying to move it quick. I'm trying to keep moving. Game 9 is the Dolphins at the Colts. Game 8. Panthers at Jaguars. Game 9. Panthers are favored by 3.5 points. This is one of those upsets that I think can get very upsetting. 3.5? Really? 3.5? 3.5? I guess they're really believing in all the defensive additions? Really, 3.5? They're getting 3.5? Panthers getting 3.5. I'm very shocked here. I am. Listen. I'm not saying like there's not gonna be any growing pains for Liam Cohen and the Jaguars. They basically signed 2 backups to be their starters this year in Macari and Hainsey, but 2 guys who were fringe starters on the offensive line. They already had Ezra Cleveland. They already had 2 tackles that I think have been pretty solid for them. So I'm a little shocked. I'm kind of like and also keep in mind that that Liam Cohen was not able to bring in all the guys that he probably wanted to bring in. The defensive coordinator is a first-time DC, so I understand some of the concerns of the defensive side of the ball. Panthers going to be without Ike Ekwonu. Their defense last year was terrible, and they didn't really add a true star to their defense that would be game-changing, which is why I'm very concerned about the Panthers, right? Like, I like Derek Brown. I think he's going to be a big part of fixing that defense, having him back. J.C. Horn's a big part of fixing that defense and having him fully healthy, but he's not always been able to stay healthy now, has he? So, like, I think the Panthers getting 3.5. God dang. I'm taking Jags. Jags with points? Jags with points here? I understand people are down on Trevor Lawrence, and they're up on Bryce Young, and Canales is a hot guy who started getting a little bit better at the end of the season, and Liam Cohen kind of looks like a turd. He kind of looks like my cousin, honestly. He just looks like me he looks like me from Jacksonville. Honestly, he looks like Jacksonville me trying to be in LA. That's what it sounds like. I'm kidding, Liam. I like you a lot. I think you're a really good coach. That's why I think, honestly, this is one of those games I could see the Jags just straight up upsetting, like being a home dog by 3 points. I'm stuck. I'm in awe of this number. Yes, I'm not a huge fan of the Jags offensive line. Their defensive line's got good pieces though, and the back end, I think I'm very shocked. I am very shocked and dismayed. And maybe a little made as well. But I'm gonna go Jags here, like hard hit on the Jags. With the 3.5 points, give me all 3.5 points if you can. You could even just take 3 points for the Jags. Because, again, I like the offensive firepower. You got Brian Thomas Jr., you got Brenton Strange, you got Hunter, Travis Hunter. You got Diami Brown as your wide receiver 3, who started showing up last year for Jaden Daniels. Offensive line I'm not super excited about, but I think they've got okay pieces. I think they'll be able to figure it out, especially if they get a lot of the pre-snap motion ready to go. Liam Cohen's coached up this kind of an offense before in several spots. I'm pretty sure he knows how to bring it along. So I think offensively, I think they'll be able to get some stuff going against the. And yeah, I'm a little concerned about the Panthers maybe being able to step up on defense, but they didn't get to bring back Clowney. So it's like I think they're worse for the edge, at least the edge spot there. The back end I think is a little bit better, but not by a lot. I don't know. Man, give me the Jags. I know I've spent a lot of time filibustering on Jaguars, Panthers because honestly, like that was a shocker right there. All right, let's go to the next thing. Raiders at Patriots. Raiders getting 2.5. What is with these home dogs? Right? That's what I'm seeing. These are home dogs, right? Patriots are not favored here, huh? Right? 2.5 for the Patriots. Yeah, I guess so. All right, let's go for it. I'm a little shocked that the Raiders are favored here by 2 points in New England. Offensive line-wise, I have some concerns. I like what the Patriots did on defense. I know a lot of people have some concerns because they might not have Christian Gonzalez. They do have Carlton Davis. They do have a lot of pieces there on the back end. But what I think is the most impressive is what they brought, the kind of firepower they have that can get penetration up the middle. So I'm more impressed with that. I am a little concerned they got rid of Jabril Peppers. I don't know what he did to deserve the exodus right before the start of the season. It seemed like he was doing pretty well. He played very well the last couple of years. Raiders, you guys could tell me what you guys think. I do think they're going to be a little bit more imaginative than what they've shown so far. They do have a couple of really good tight ends in Marr and Brock Bowers. I'm okay with Jacoby Myers, although again requested a trade. We all thought they were going to have Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper retired after being there for a week, realizing that maybe he just didn't want to spend time with Chip Kelly. Keontae Thornton and Trey Tucker. To be that's the problem is they might not have elite corners for the Patriots, but there's not exactly elite receivers for the Raiders. So I'm leaning Patriots here. Patriots getting 2.5, especially when you look at the defense for the Raiders. You know, what do they have on the back end, and what can the Patriots do to kind of get downfield? Utilize Trayvon Henderson, Pop Douglas, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, guys who they have a lot of guys who have some familiarity with the Patriots. Offense with McDaniels. I think this is. I don't get how the Patriots are 2.5 point underdogs. I'm taking Patriots all day. Give me the Patriots. Let's move on. Next one's going to be Titans at the Broncos, right? Move on to that one. Titans at the Broncos. Wow, Titans are given 8.5 points, man. They're getting 8.5 points. Broncos, man, I mean, it is at Denver. The Broncos defense is legit. I'm not quite sure who even plays on the Titans defense outside of Jeffrey Simmons anymore. So, and, the guy that they drafted, T'Vondre Sweat. Actually, T'Vondre was really good last year. So good couple D tackles, but everybody else is kind of mid. Offensively, first start for Cam Ward, which is probably why, again, your first start coming against the Broncos defense, it's not going to make you look really good. So I think it's pretty simple here. You got Surtain to help shut down Ridley. I don't know if they're going to be really utilizing a lot of direct matchup, match-on-match coverage, but they will shut down Ridley pretty easily, I think, in this matchup, or at least try to. Ridley's also, pretty solid route runner, but hands can get a little questionable at times. Do like the chemistry that he's been showing with Ward. Don't know if it's going to be there week one. Offensive line-wise, I think it's a good offensive line. Will they be able to run it on this defense? No idea. The funny thing about the Broncos is, top defense, not a lot of true stars on that defense. There's a lot of good pieces. I mean, outside of Surtain, not a lot of people you write home about, like John Franklin Myers and Nick Bonito. Nick Bonito just got an extension. So, but again, kind of oh, that's interesting that they have this much firepower. Is kind of going underneath. It's a very low key defense. Is what I'd say. It's a low-key defense. I thought they were the ones that should have been on the Parsons deal, that they probably could have done a trade and gotten him with the money and the 2 first-round picks. And if you're you add Parsons to this defense, and that becomes a scary mess. But maybe they just weren't into the whole trading a D tackle, or maybe they didn't want to give up 2 first-round picks to Dallas. I digress. Let's move on. 8.5 points. All right, I have to decide on if 8.5 points is worth it. I would rather avoid this game than anything else. I'll take the 8.5 points. I don't think the Broncos are going to be. I think the Broncos are getting really heavily rated because they snuck into the playoffs last year, and now people are rewriting history to make it sound like they were a very, very good team. They beat a lot of mid teams, and I'm sorry because I have a cousin who's a very big Broncos fan. Hopefully, he doesn't see this. At least not this part of the story. I digress. I'm not sure I really believe in this Broncos team. But I do believe in them beating the Titans by 8.5 points. I think, I can't. The 8.5 points is a lot, man. That's a lot of points. I just don't want to do this game, to be honest. I don't want to bet on this game. But if I have to, I guess given the Broncos, that those points is what I'll do. All right, let's move on. San Francisco 49ers against the Seahawks. They're giving points to the Seahawks, right? Minus 2.5 points. Yeah, I would take the Seahawks here. Seahawks being... Oh, wait. I'm an idiot, aren't I? Patriots are home favorites against the Raiders. That's why I'm an idiot. Raiders are getting points against the Patriots. That makes more sense. And that also means that Jaguars were getting points. Okay, so yes, Panthers are getting points against the Jags. I'm an idiot. That's where this makes it a little bit more sensical. Makes sense that the Jags would get 3 points at home. All right, for Panthers Jags. Now I've changed my tune. I'm going to go Panthers with the 3.5 points. I'll take the points with the Panthers. The Panthers with the points. With the Raiders, I'll give the Raiders. I'll still give the Patriots here. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. I think they're going to win it. With 2.5 points, though, Yeah, why not? I think this Patriots defense is low key good. When you look at the D tackle room, Titans at Broncos. All right, yeah, we already talked about that. Preferably avoid. San Francisco is a favorite in Seattle. A lot of this is one of those things where again, Shanahan's had time to game plan. Add to this, my problem is more with the San Francisco defense. I don't think it's all going to be there in the beginning. I think I'm going to go with Seattle here. I like Seattle adding to that offensive line room with the left guard. Darnold has some familiarity with this offense from hanging out with Shanahan. To be fair, Shanahan should know how to shut down his own defense or shut down his own offense. But I think that's having the horses to stop him. I don't know quite yet if everybody on that all those new faces on that D line are ready to go quite yet. I'm gonna go Seattle at home over the Niners, especially since they're getting some points here. So let's move on. Detroit getting 2.5 points against Green Bay in Green Bay. They do have a couple of change-ups on the interior of the offensive line. They are getting Aiden Hutchinson back finally. They're losing all their coordinators. We've had these conversations all offseason. So the real question is, how much is Micah Parsons going to affect this Green Bay defense right away? Are they going to try to grind it out on them? I do think that that's part of what Detroit's going to try and do. I've been concerned about this Detroit team all offseason. I haven't really gotten enough time to sit there and talk enough about it. Green Bay. How do I feel about Green Bay right now? I mean, all these receivers could be total jank, and also I think the back end for the Detroit Lions defense is going to be really good. I think the Lions defense is what's selling me on the Lions right now, but them getting 2.5 points against Green Bay in Green Bay is what concerns me. I'm going to go Green Bay here. Get right? No. Detroit's getting 2.5, right? I'm going to go Detroit. I'm going to go Detroit with the 2.5. Getting 2 points, getting 2.5 points for Detroit after, being in the playoffs last year. I know there's a lot of hate towards their coordinator situation. This is one of those bets I feel like a little bit more comfortable with. We'll go with Lions at Packers. We're going to go Lions with plus 2.5. What do we got here? We got the Houston Texans getting 3 points at the LA Rams. Oh, this could be a schnikey show, man, with this offensive line that the Houston Texans are looking to pace out there. Obviously, I'm going to go with the Rams, even though they're getting 3 at home, which is not really feeling like a home game all the time. I know it's the old Rams logo. Relax. I'll fix that next time we go ahead and do this. I digress. I do like what they can pull off here. I do like, although, keep in mind, one of the issues that the Texans are going to have offensive line-wise, not just being the only issue, receiver room, Christian Kirk, probably not playing this week. So now you got a couple of young receivers going along with Nico Collins out there. Big Nico fan. He's going to have to dominate in this game, and I think he will, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to help stave off that Rams pass rush. I think they're going to have to figure out some stuff with Nick Caley to really scheme stuff up for C.J. Stroud. But I'm going to go with the Rams with Antique, Matt Stafford, because they still have Puka Nacua. They still have Sean McVay. They still have an offensive line that I think has been grading it out really well, and they're just going to grind it out in between the tackle frame. And I think that's been working pretty well for them. So, again, I'm going to go Rams. Sorry, you're not getting all your, Rams at home. We got Rams at home, everybody. All right, night game. Ravens at Bills. At the Bills. The Bills. I'm just a Bill. It's just the Bills against the Ravens. What does that mean? What does that mean, Walter? It means the Ravens are so Ravens are Ravens are favorited in this game. I want the Bills then, right? Because I feel like the Bills can grind it out. Bills could throw it on you. I think they're going to catch the Ravens a little bit off guard. Now, the Ravens will try to grind it down their throat, and they've been pretty good at doing that. So Again, to me, this is a pick 'em. The fact that one of these teams is getting points, I'm going to go with the team that's getting the points. How about that? Especially the one that's at home getting points. I think that's the strongest argument you can make right now, Walter. We don't know enough. I know I have a lot of questions about the Bills' defense. I know it doesn't feel like they got fixed enough as it is. Bills' offense, good offensive line, been able to grind it out with James Cook a lot of the time. And then you look at that receiving room, adding Josh Palmer, adding Elijah Moore, getting Khalil Shakir back off the high ankle sprain. I don't know if he'll be 100% healthy going into this game. Keon Coleman, year 2. I think there's a lot of good things here. Dalton Kincaid as a slot weapon. I think there's a lot of cool pieces here. I think they'll try to get some downfield throws and grind it out. I'm going with the Bills here at home with points. All right. Now I'm starting to fly through it. All right, we got 2 more games left. 2 more games, everybody. I know you forgot. 2 more games. Yeah, we get the Monday night game here with Vikings versus Chicago. Chicago getting points at home. Ben Johnson got two young QBs here, 2 very well-off D coordinators with Dennis Allen for the Chicago Bears and with Flores for the Vikings. I kind of believe in Kevin O'Connell right now more than I believe in Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears. I believe a little bit more in what they've added into this team. I'm gonna go with the Vikings over the Bears, and I'll give them the 1.5. I'll take the 1.5 points. I'll lose 1.5 points betting on the Vikings here. That's where I feel, because I feel like the Vikings will be more than 1.5 points winning this game. It's not to say I don't think Caleb Williams will figure it out under Ben Johnson. I think he will, but I think it'll take some time. I think they'll figure out some stuff with DJ Moore, get him on the move, get him out of the backfield, things like that. So big fan of what they'll be able to do with Ben Johnson in this receiver room, but I'm not sure I believe in it quite yet. So in Chicago, I think the Vikings win, which means we get to our last game, our first game. Also with a different font because I was playing around with things in the beginning. This is the first thing I did, and then I realized I'll put it at the end because this is going to be the game that starts tonight. That's right, tonight's game. Dallas at Eagles, 7.5 points. Is it still there? Did it move anymore? Is the question. Still 7.5 points. All right, still 7.5 points. Dallas versus Eagles. The Eagles, if you will. An Eagle. Yes. And if you're wondering, wow, we're at the Eagles and we're at the Dallas game. Am I just getting in here? No, sorry, we're at the end. But you zoom back. We have time. I've been doing this for about 50 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about this Dallas Eagles game, which means we also got to talk about the Micah Parsons trade because Jerry Jones trading away probably his best defensive player in a while. After also losing DeMarcus Lawrence to free agency and kind of looking like he was annoyed with the Cowboys. And now it looks like everybody's annoyed with the Cowboys, including their own fan base. Now, they've been able to give out extensions to other players who are not as good as Micah Parsons at their position. But I digress. What will they be able to do here against the Eagles? Well, the Eagles did lose some pieces in free agency, right? We know, Milton Williams went up to the Patriots. Josh Sweat went to the Arizona Cardinals. So we talked a little bit about this on my division preview episode of the NFC East. I look at this Eagles team, and I'm going to question whether or not they're going to start throwing more for this year, especially if they have more issues on their interior offensive line, like Landon Dickerson's injury just now over the summer. Is his meniscus going to be fully okay going into the year as he goes into this game tonight? Now, I do think the Eagles are going to win this game against Dallas. I think they'll be able to grind it out. Dallas has not exactly been great at stopping the run. And, we added a run stuffer in Kenny Clark, and now we have Mozzie Smith, who will be a depth tackle who we drafted in the first round, and we still have Osa Odigizua. Good. And listen, I was a big Donovan Azaraku fan too, but there's more to just stopping the run than your D-line, and especially if you're going to run a lot more outside zone, which is what they could probably do with this kind of a run game with Saquon and Jalen Hurts. So I don't know how much I really believe in what Dallas's defense can do. Now, Dallas's offense, on the other hand, if everything clicks, if Guyton shows, basically that he should be a good left tackle going into this game, I think you could probably see some shock and awe here. Ooh, especially because I do think you look at the firepower, right? Best 1-2 punch in a while, basically since CeeDee Lamb's been there, and I think CeeDee Lamb, when they had Amari Cooper, that was the best 1-2 punch that they had. They were able to just pace each other. They were able to just keep throwing games at each other. Keep throwing, and they always had somebody who was open between CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. They got rid of Amari Cooper, and then it was the CeeDee Lamb show, and they really never had anybody else outside of CeeDee Lamb. They had Michael Gallup for a little bit, then he got injured. I think this is the best 1-2 punch they've had with Pickens here. And I think that there could be something there for Pickens on the outside if they get the Dak connection going. I don't know if that happens tonight. It's a little early. And then you look at the firepower that the Eagles have as far as the receivers go. The younger corners on that defense for the Eagles with Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Yeah, he's got it. Cooper DeJean. Boop, 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 boop. Then you also got the Georgia D tackles and Nolan. I gotta be honest here. I think I'm 7.5 is a lot of points to give. I kind of got to go with the Eagles getting 7.5 though, because Dallas's defense, even with Kenny Clark, is not going to be good. Even if they figure it out at some point during the season, I just don't believe it's going to be there quite yet. So I think the Eagles, having the firepower that they do, having Saquon Barkley, being able to grind it out, being able to convert 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and to get those tush-push touchdowns, having A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. I like the fact that they traded for John Mechie. Still having Jahan Dotson somewhere in that room somewhere. Dallas Goedert. They have a lot of weapons. They have 2 very good tackles. They got a decent interior offensive line, although, again, you're going to have questions as far as the injuries go and moving on from Becton and all that. But again, I look at this team and I think, all right, Eagles are one of the toughest teams to play in the whole NFC, but they did have issues last year at certain points. I just don't think if Dallas had time, if Dallas was, all right, we lose Parsons and we added some guys, we signed some dudes as free agents, they bring in Jadeveon Clowney, they do this, they do that, I would maybe believe that Dallas could do it, to be able to upset. They were able to scheme up and maybe replace one star with a bunch of pieces. I could understand that, but not on such short notice. So I'm going to go Eagles here with the 7.5, and with that, I am done. Yeah, I'm going to try and do this every week around 6 o'clock, because that was around the time I used to do it when I did Face Off with Facemeyer. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off. I am kind of a dork, as far as being able to pull that kind of stuff off. If you're asking me for a list of these things, I'm sorry, I did not actually keep track. This is all off the top of my head. You can kind of probably zoom through the video and find which ones you particularly liked as far as that goes. I'll make sure to add some other things coming up. I hope your fantasy drafts went well. Beyond that, I will be back next Thursday. I'll do more things. I might start doing more lives as well. Follow, like, subscribe, add me on Instagram and the Twitterverse and everywhere else you can do it. I'm also on I think I'm also on, what's that one that everybody likes to play video games on? Oh, yes, Xbox Live. I am on Xbox Live as BROJO. Death is in the end of life. Punch, like a delicious drink you drink in the summer. Yeah, and until then.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous. About the past and about the future.